Hello, everyone, and as always, welcome back to Strategy Gaming Dojo, where we find, learn, and play one more turn of the great strategy games. Today, it's a fond farewell to a channel favorite called WarPlan Pacific. Now, if you've been around, I've been asked several times, what happened to that game? Well, what's going on? It was actually a lot of fun. We were doing something called the Bonsai Challenge, and Bonsai was a very, very good Axis player. Essentially, what had happened is I'd played on the forums a bunch of times, uh, won a bunch of games as the Allies, and then ran into someone who stymied me as the Axis player. And I said, okay, well, let's put this on the channel because a lot of people were saying, well, there's just no, you can't win as the Axis. It's impossible. It's tough. This guy, Bonsai, really, really took it to us and put us in a really difficult position. The first time I played him was not on the channel, and I actually lost. And I was like, "Oh, okay, that was a punch in the nose. That's fine." So we put the second game on the channel, and he had us in a really difficult position. I mean, he had essentially almost taken Australia, although we had just reinvaded at Melbourne, and I think that would have gone pretty well. He had taken all of India. We had plans, but who knows how that all would have worked out. All in all, I think we were behind, certainly, in that game. But more importantly, because it's not really about winning or losing, it is showing you how to play the game. And Bonsai, nobody, I've never seen anybody do the Japanese side, Axis side better, and hopefully that helped a lot of people that were trying to conceptualize what do you do when you start as the Japanese, and it's just hyper aggressiveness. Now, I don't want to blame him for the game going away because I have no idea what happened. I just never got another turn back. There had been a few delays of a few days, and then all of a sudden I just didn't get one back. Yeah, and I honestly just want to say, I mean, there was a delay on my side of a few days too, and so I don't know. He may have upgraded the game because what happens is when you upgrade these games on Matrix, and then you go into the multiplayer, if you're on different versions, that's it. Even if you are on the same version, it doesn't matter. The game goes away if you've upgraded the game, and maybe he just decided to upgrade the game and said enough of this, or I don't know. I don't know what happened. I haven't heard from him, so this game, I say this game, it's not this one that I have up here on the board. What do I have up here on the board? Well, I finally got to upgrade. It's one of the real detriments of doing the games on this channel. As you probably know, in War in these two, I'm still on the original version of the game. There's been a lot of improvements, bugs ironed out, whatever else, but I can't upgrade because I'm afraid I'll lose the game. Well, the same here. We were playing one of the original versions of the game, and I've finally been able to upgrade. And when I did, I was sad. You may say, "Why are you sad, Dojo?" And I said, I could tell you all sorts of reasons. No, I'm just kidding. Uh, the whirly gigs are gone. Where are the whirly gigs? I used to love to go through these things, and if you're kind of new or you're just new to the channel and you haven't seen this game, you used to have a portal here that you could send your ships through. What is that movie where you can like gosh, what was it? The Nimitz or some U.S. carrier goes through like a time portal and ends up in World War II or something. Anyway, it was kind of like that, and then you would pop out on the map over here, and then you could go through one over here and end up over by India. So I always found those to be a lot of fun. I know why he got rid of. I say he. It's Alvaro Sousa who is the developer. I know why he got rid of them. People complain that's just not realistic. These are 2 week turns, so it would take a month in game time to flip through two of these. But then you could flip right back and go right back to the West Coast. I mean, you could just keep going through these portals forever. I definitely see why he decided to get rid of them. Probably a good idea to do that. Now, what are the pros and cons of this game? And again, I've just loaded up the latest version because I haven't seen it, and I put it on AI where I'm the allies, so the Japanese have already moved, and I just wanted to see what was different with the map. One thing that's different is you have these new garrison. Where is one? I think the Japanese maybe have one. Maybe we have one over here. They're called island garrisons. Gosh, I can't find it now. I maybe we had one in the Dutch East Indies and it got blown away, and I don't see another one now. But they've got like a little gun turret on them, um, and they're well they're called coastal garrisons. That's what they're called. So they've got a little few guns on the coast anyway. Now, what are the pros and cons of this game? I think this is a really good game. I thought it was great. It reminds me of some old board games. Avalon Hill, board games I used to play in the Pacific Theater. I really like it for that. I think this game has a lot of interesting aspects that remind me of the old Empire game, stuff like that. You build your units based on production points. You've got advancements, so you can build up what you want to build up as far as adding points to your guys. Here's the build you can go through as the U.S. and you can see you can build your Army, Navy, Air Force, kind of how you want to do it. I actually think it'd be very interesting if he created a game just like this with randomly generated maps, but that's a whole different story. Maybe I'll ask him if he'll do that. Seems like a lot of work, but that's okay. I would enjoy it. So if he's willing to do it, do it. Anyway, the downside of this game, some people have said it's not very realistic. Well, I don't know that you're going to get a realistic game in the Pacific Theater. When I say realistic, what's the best way? What exactly do I mean by that? I don't know that you're gonna get a game that's gonna be, to historical levels and whatnot. When you're playing on counters of operational size like this, it's just almost impossible to make because the distances are so great. And then when you're trying to invade islands and things like that, how do you appropriately model that? I think it's almost impossible. The Gary Grigsby War in the Pacific, I always say, is the greatest game ever made. A big part of that is because he actually models the correct distances. I mean, that's very hard to do, and it makes that game so large that most people won't approach it. What Alvaro wanted to do here is go somewhere in between your basic Panzer General type game and Gary Grigsby game. He wanted to get right in the middle, and I think he did a pretty dang good job of that. There are going to be things that make you scratch your head as far as there's no way this could have happened historically, right? That's okay. It's a game. It's trying to represent something, and I think overall it does a pretty dang good job of it. I really enjoyed this game. I mean, I played it numerous times, and I find myself rebooting it from time to time. Boy, I made myself sound old by saying reboot, but I find myself restarting the game from time to time just because I really did enjoy it. And of course, I love hex and counter games, and this is one of the few that you're going to get in the Pacific area of war. So, anyway, I guess this has been a very long way of telling you that that series is over. I finally gave up and I upgraded the game because I'd like to get a new one going at some point. So I upgraded the game. So the Bonsai Challenge is now over. We'll call it a draw, which maybe is being a little generous to myself. We'll call that one a draw. I think he had us in a pretty bad position, but it was a lot of fun playing it, playing against somebody that's really good and really challenging. Because if you play a Japanese player at this game, oh, here's one of those coastal, yeah, coastal second coastal artillery. And this is kind of a new counter that he put out recently, and I like it. So anyway, I guess if you play, what I was saying is if you play a Japanese player that's not quite as good and you play the Allies, it's not going to be super challenging. You can really, if you know what you're doing, you can win fairly easily as the Allies in that case. But the paradox of that is if you get a really good Japanese player, I honestly think you're actually at a disadvantage as the Allies because you just don't get your carriers forever. And he's got his way, carriers are everything in this game, just like they are in other Pacific games, and it was in real life, but almost even more so because what a good Japanese player will do is put all of his carriers together in this, just Death Star that runs around the map and takes and does whatever it wants. That's not really historically how things went down, but okay, it makes the game a hell of a lot more challenging as the allied player. So anyway, just wanted to let you know this one was gone. Numerous people have asked me about it. I think everybody was enjoying it. I know I certainly was. I wish it would have kept going. Maybe we'll get another one of these. I've got to move on to some other games, but maybe we'll come back to this one at some point. I know Alvaro is also making a couple of other games. One's kind of a fantasy strategy, turn-based type game like this, and he's also making a War Plan 2. So that'll be. I don't know if he's going to do like Europe or if it's going to be like a world at war. That'd be cool. I haven't read enough about it to know that, but he's calling it War Plan 2, so I assume it's just Europe. Well, I say just Europe. I mean, it was kind of the whole European area of the war. So anyway, uh, yep, this one's done. We'll get another one going at some point. This has been Strategy Gaming Dojo. I'll talk to you next time. Have a good one.